Hi, hello, welcome to this video. I'm Ellen Cool, welcome to the Cool Library. This video we are talking about the books that I read in this first quarter of the year. I read a total of 19 books in this first quarter. I'm very happy with that. And here they are, broken up by month. March was my best month for sure. I also have not DNF'd any books yet, which is good. And then here it is by page count. February is so low because in February I read a lot of novellas, so a lot of very short books. But total, I have read 4,901 pages this quarter. So the shortest book I read was only 99 pages, and then the longest book I read was 492 pages. But most of the books I read were in between 200 and 250 pages. All right, my reading method was more mixed media, which is very helpful because audiobooks, they really help me with my reading. I like to listen to an audiobook while I'm driving to and from work, which is quite a long trip, actually. I read more standalones than series because I prefer to read standalones. I just feel like I can never finish series, so like why bother starting a series? But I do want to try and finish more series going forward. And so far this year, I have finished 3 series, so yay. I have also read 3 sequels. I have started 1 series and have DNF'd 1 series. Most of the books I read were hardcover. I do prefer paperbacks, but I guess in this first quarter I was just reading a lot of hardcovers. So far in this quarter, I have read 9 different genres, but my most read genre is fantasy, which tracks because I do like fantasy. And then the rest are all pretty spread out. Also, most of the books I've read were novels, but like I said, I did read quite a lot of novellas in February, so I do have quite a good number of novellas. Now, my star ratings, everyone loves to know what the star ratings are. Most of them have been 4 stars. Yay. This is starting to look like it might be a good reading year since I have mostly 4 stars right now. I don't have any 5 stars yet, but I do have 1 4.5 star, so we're getting there. My average so far for the year is 3.5. I don't like it to be less than 3.5, so 3.5 I think we're a good start. We can get up there. Most of the books I read were adult. I do have 3 young adult and 1 middle grade that I have read. Most of the books I've read have come out last year in 2025. I haven't been reading many of the books that have come out this year because I've been trying to focus on the books I really wanted to get to last year and didn't. But now I'm neglecting all my 2026 releases, so I gotta find that balance, but I have been reading a lot of 2025 books. Most of the books I read were written by women. I do have 3 that were written by men and 1 that's written by multiple authors, so multiple genders. Unfortunately, most of my reading has not been POC, but below that I do have the breakdown of the POC authors I've been reading. 1 Black, 1 Latin, 2 Asian, and 2 Middle Eastern. And we're almost quite even. But just by like 1 book, I've read more authors I've read from before than new authors that I haven't read. Okay, and those are the stats. Let's get into the books. How I'm gonna do it this year, I've realized I forgot to do it for both my movie and my TV show wrap-up, so you can check those down below, but I'm gonna do it a little differently because I meant to change it up this year, and I've already filmed those videos and I don't feel like refilming them. But I'm gonna first show you all the books I've read, the ratings I gave them, but because I don't want to spend so much time talking about every single book, I'm only going to talk about my 5 least favorite and my 5 favorite. Now, these are in no particular order. Audition by Katie Kitamura, I gave 1.5 stars, so you will definitely be hearing me talk about it. The River Has Roots by Amal El-Mohtar, I gave 4 stars. Our Last Resort by Clemence Michelon, I gave 2.5 stars. Fearful by Lauren Roberts, I gave 3 stars. Kissing My Coworker by Jay Sterling, I gave 2 stars. Camp Quilt Bag by Nicole Melby and AJ Sass, I gave 3.5 stars. The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, I gave 3.5 stars. Speak of the Devil by Sweeney Boo, I gave 3.5 stars. The Library of Legends by Janie Chang, I gave 3 stars. One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar El-Akkad, I gave 4 stars. Through Gates of Garnet and Gold by Seanan McGuire, I gave 3 stars. The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs, I gave 4 stars. Save You by Mona Caston, I gave 4 stars. Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune, I gave 4 stars. Sky Full of Elephants by Sibo Campbell, I gave 4 stars. To Clutch a Razor by Veronica Roth, I gave 2.5 stars. Dare I Say It? Everything I Wish I'd Known About Menopause by Naomi Watts, I gave 4 stars. The Crane Husband by Kelly Barnhill, I gave 3.5 stars. And lastly, Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey, I gave 4.5 stars. Okay, so now let's talk about my bottom 5. At the number 5 spot, I have Fearful by Lauren Roberts. It was fine. I felt like this wasn't necessary based on how the last book in the series ended. I felt like we didn't really need this, but I obviously was going to read it because I enjoyed the Powerless series very much. And I didn't hate this book. There were parts of it that, you know, I really enjoyed. It's just unfortunate that it's on this list. But I don't know, I just felt like it was unnecessary. It's actually not that memorable. I can't remember a whole lot that happens in this. I just know we get a lot from the brother's perspective, whose name I am forgetting. Kit. Yes, so we get the perspective of Kit as well as Death, who is like following him. It was interesting and I don't hate it. So I feel weird having it on this list, but alas, here we are. And the next on my list is To Clutch a Razor by Veronica Roth. This is the sequel to Clutch a Razor, which I really enjoyed. I remember, I think I gave that one 4.5 stars. So it was very upsetting I gave this 2.5 stars. And I think the main reason is me. I'm the problem. I don't know if it's the book that's the problem or if it's me. Because going into this, I was like, wait, I don't remember anything that happened in that first book. So trying to catch up in this book, I was so lost. I was so lost. I couldn't remember any of the characters and anything about them. And so going into this, I was like thrown in and I was just very confused the whole time I was reading this. So I'm wondering if that's probably a me problem and I should have read the other book before going into the sequel. Because it's been, I want to say, like a good 2 or 3 years since I read that first book. Also one that I don't remember a whole lot that happened in. It's very unmemorable, and I think, again, that's just because I have a terrible memory. On the 3rd spot, I have Our Last Resort by Clemence Michelin. I am so upset because, again, I read Clemence Michelin's other book last year. I think it was called The Last Tenant. I loved that book. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was so good. And then this just fell so flat. This one also took me a very long time to read because I was just not gripped by the story at all. It was very slow paced and I'm normally not into slow paced books, especially for a thriller. You don't want it to be slow paced. But we have a brother and sister who used to be part of a cult growing up when they were kids, and then they escaped and now they're adults in this world, in like the real world and not the cult world. And they're still like figuring things out, but they're reuniting at a hotel and there's a murder that happens at the hotel and the brother is the main suspect. And she's trying to help out and claim that like, no, he's innocent. But then she starts questioning like, wait, did he actually do it? And there's a lot of suspicions going around and it sounded really interesting, but unfortunately it fell very flat for me. I was not hooked. I couldn't care less about what was happening or about these characters. It was very upsetting. All right, number 2 on this list, I have Kissing My Coworker by Jay Sterling. This just felt like AI wrote this book. It was so bland and one-dimensional. This is a romance between a woman and her, not her boss, but like a higher up in the company. And they're having like the New Year's Eve party for work. And finally they get the courage to ask each other out and tell each other how they feel about each other. And that is the book. For like a good half of the book, it's just them pining after each other but not doing anything about it. And then finally they say something. And there you have it. That's the story. And it was not well written, very bland. So, didn't like it. And then my number 1 least favorite book of the year so far, of this quarter at least, Audition by Katie Kitamura. I have things to say. Okay, so I read this book because I wanted to join Books and Lala's like besties book club, because I've been wanting to for so long, and I'm finally doing it this year. I'm committing, and I want to read all the books. The next one is actually right here. This is the next one to read. So I'm actually excited about this one. This one, I didn't know what to expect. And it was funny when we were all meeting up for the book club, like 30% of us, it was so even. 30% of us hated it, 30% of us thought it was just okay, and 30% of us loved it. And then the rest of the 10% just like, they DNF'd, or they didn't have any like ratings to give it. So I just found it interesting that I absolutely hated this book, while Lala, who's the runner of the book club, she loved it. It's her favorite book of the year so far, and it's my least favorite book of the year so far. I don't think I got it. I don't think I got it. I also hated the writing style. I hate this writing style of just like, of just not info dumping, but like, it's just one continuous thought. And the like conversations that people have, there's no quotations to know that this is dialogue. It's just very continuous, and I don't like that kind of writing style. But I didn't get it because this first half of the book, so the book is broken into two parts. There we go, part one, part two. And honestly, it felt like it was two totally different books. Because the first story, I mean, they're the same characters, but it's like there's a huge shift, and it's like all the characters are not who they were in the first part. Like, I don't know how to explain it. We have a woman who's an actress who's never had a kid, but she starts having an affair with this younger guy against her husband. But then in the second part, that kid she was having an affair with is her son, and her husband are dealing with the fact that their son is moving back into their home from college, and he's brought over a girlfriend, and it was just like really weird. It was really weird. And then there was like a whole scene in the second part where like they're all trying to find her, but like she was out at her job, and it was confusing. I did not get this book at all. If it wasn't for this book club, I would have DNF'd it. I also found it very boring. The discussion was interesting because people kept discussing like, oh, I think the theme of the story is this. I think this is what they were talking about. I was like, I didn't get any of that. Like the fact that like she has dementia, I was like, did not get that. That I did not understand that at all. Like, are we sure she has dementia, or is this just a terrible book? Like, I hated it. And I don't hate books often, but I hated this one. So that's me. Okay, now for my top 5. It's gonna be odd, because my 5th spot, there was a tie between 4 books. Those 4 books are Dare I Say It by Naomi Watts, One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar El Akkad, Sky Full of Elephants by Sibo Campbell, and The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs. And I was having difficulty choosing between these 4. I don't know what order to put these 4 in. Honestly, it might be this order. This one, then this one, then this one, then this one. Or that, maybe? I actually can't decide between these 2. So I will just talk about these 2 for the number 5 spot. And then I guess towards the end of the year, I will have to make a decision. But let's talk about Sky Full of Elephants first. So this is like a sci-fi dystopian about a world where all the white people have died, and we're following 2 black characters. One is this guy who's just got out of prison, and then the second is his daughter, who is half white and grew up in a predominantly white community and has these thoughts about black people that white people typically do. She has some like racist thoughts about black people, even though she is part black. But she contacts her father to help her get to a certain area of the world because she thinks that that's where her people are, her, like, the white people that lived. And she thinks like her aunt is there. And so she's like, you're gonna take me there. And so it's kind of like this road trip with this father and daughter meeting for the first time, getting to know each other, and how like some people view this world as a utopian and some people view it as a dystopian. And then you get to the very like close, you're getting close to the destination. You're like practically at that destination by the end. And you learn about how this happened, like how all the white people died, because it was like very weird how they died. And so you learn the truth about what happened. And it's a very interesting conversation, and I really enjoyed this book, and I think it was very well done. Now, also The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs. I know this original title was supposed to be Medievally Blonde because it's a fantasy version of Legally Blonde, and I thought they did great with that. So it's very much like medieval Ireland, make it a little bit fantasy, and the blonde girl, our main girl, she wants to be, like, she's just the princess, and then of course her boyfriend, who's the prince of another town, like they were supposed to get married to like help solidify their country's unions, but he obviously dumps her because he's like, listen, I need someone who can actually fight. I need a warrior. So then she goes to the same warrior school as him to prove that she can be a warrior, but obviously everyone is like against her being there. They're like, you can't do this. You're too much of a princess. And then we have this guy who is that princess who dumped her bodyguard. But he's like one of the best warriors in the school, and he kind of like teaches her a few tricks, and they start having a romance and attachment. And obviously we also have the Warner character has a new fiance. And they start off as enemies and then become friends. It's basically Legally Blonde, but make it fantasy during the medieval era. And I had such a blast with this. I enjoyed it so much. In the number 4 spot, I have Save You by Mona Kastan. This is the sequel to, oh my goodness, Save Me? I think it's Save Me. I read that last year. I think I read it last year. And I gave it 4.5 stars. I loved it. I read the sequel, also loved it. So if you don't know, this is a translated work from German, and it was also turned into a Prime TV show called Maxton Hall. I absolutely love the show, and so while I was reading this book, I was also watching season 2, because season 2 is based off of this book. And they did make some changes, but it still, you know, kept the things that happened in here, like the major things, so I'm fine with it. And I'm excited to see where it goes next. Like, that ending, I need more. But this is a romance, a perfect enemies to lovers romance with this book. And a perfect, like, rich billionaire asshole who falls in love with the poor girl who's at the school on scholarship and who doesn't care about money and just wants to get a good education. But yeah, they form a relationship. But of course, his parents are not happy with the relationship. We also have his twin sister who has a secret relationship with a teacher, which is not very good, but it's there. Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and I'm enjoying this series. And number 3, I have another sequel, and that is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. I read the first book last year, The House in the Cerulean Sea, and loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. And this, I'm happy to say, was a 4-star. I enjoyed it very much. Loved coming back to these characters, these like children, and seeing where the story goes. I feel like this might have been just a little bit too long and also unnecessary. We didn't need a sequel, but happy to have it. I also love the sprayed edges edition of this. Yeah, we're just coming back to that school of these like magical children and the things that they have to face in this town of people who don't like them. But in this one, something from Arthur's past, I believe, comes into play, and it starts becoming a little dangerous. But yeah, very fun. At number 2, I have The River Has Roots by Amal El Motar. This book made me cry. Did not appreciate it, but I just loved the writing style of this. It was very lyrical, and normally I'm iffy on lyrical. It's like it could either make me hate it or it can make me love it, but in this way it made me love it because it felt very fairy tale-esque, this story. And so I definitely want to read more by this author. They actually just came out with a collection of short stories, so I want to read that as soon as I can. So in this we have two sisters, and one of them falls in love with someone from the fairy world, and it just causes a whole lot of trouble. And it was very entertaining. This also was the shortest book that I read. This one was 99 pages. Very short, but also had a lot to say within those 99 pages. And was just beautifully written, great story, and yeah, want to read more by the author. Okay, and then my number one is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy. And this book also made me cry. I was sobbing by the end. And also like the last 100 pages just go wild. It's very slow paced in the beginning, but I didn't mind it too much because it was still like intriguing. And then once you get to a certain point, it then really speeds up the pace. And I like had to read those like last 100 pages in one sitting because I just was like, I need to know what happens. This is a very literary contemporary mystery book. I was not expecting the mystery aspect. I thought it was just going to be like a contemporary fiction, but there is a mystery element to it. We have a woman who was washed up on shore, and this family, a dad and his 3 kids, all are like, okay, well, let's just take care of this woman. I wonder what she's doing here. And then we find out both the dad and this woman are lying to each other. But we also, as an audience, don't know the truth about anything until the very end. And I just had to say, when I was reading this role, I think, was made for Jason Statham. I think it needs to be Jason Statham if there's ever a movie about this, because that's all I was picturing. Either him or Henry Cavill I could see, but I was like, this is a Jason Statham. This is a Jason Statham role. But you realize that like everybody in this book is pretty much keeping secrets and lying about something, except for the 9-year-old kid, who's basically being forced to lie about things by his dad. But I just also loved the atmosphere of this book. Like, they're the only ones that are on this island, and they're there to protect the seeds, because this is also a little futuristic in the sense this is a world where global warming has really destroyed a lot of our world, and there's not many, you know, dry places to live anymore. And so this place, this island, is now sinking underwater. So they're collecting the seeds, organizing the seeds, and they're going to send the seeds off. But this was a wild ride, and I genuinely enjoyed the writing, and I want to read more from this author as well. And there you have it. Those are the books that I've read in this first quarter. Please also go check out the movies and the TV shows that I watched, and I will see you guys later with more videos. Bye!